Generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/joy. That's forhims.com/joy for your free online visit. forhims.com/joy.
Camp Lejeune Justice is responsible for the content of this ad. Attention Marines, military, contractors, and family members stationed at Camp Lejeune for 30 days or longer between August 1953 and December of 1987. For 34 years, those at Camp Lejeune were exposed to contaminated drinking water, resulting in devastating injuries. Passage of the Camp Lejeune Justice Act of 2022 would allow victims to seek compensation for illnesses and injuries linked to the toxic water.
For a free consultation, call 800-210-0859. That's 800-210-0859.
1050 ESPN New York. The biggest names and the biggest games. WEPN New York. A Good Karma Brands radio station.
On SportsCenter all night. Great news regarding the latest with Damar Hamlin.
Damar, the tube has been taken out, and he is speaking.
Wow.
So that is from his agent. He is speaking. So that was kind of one of the last pieces.
The NFL comes to an agreement on the AFC playoffs.
I think they actually got this right because there's so many different things that can go on, but I think at the same time, they're doing what's right and being empathetic towards the Buffalo Bills and Damar Hamlin and his situation.
Nets and Pelicans headline tonight in the association.
Jones got the better of KD on the last possession. What will happen here? It's Irvin. Deep triple.
And we get you ready for a pivotal Week 18 in the NFL.
These are games that, they're playoff games, right? That's just exactly what it is. Call it what it is, a playoff football game. And you win, you keep going.
This is SportsCenter all night.
What's left for you? What do you need to do in your career before you can hang it up? I need to be on the floor with my boy.
Here's Jim Basquill.
Yeah, more encouraging news surrounding Damar Hamlin. As you just heard, LeBron speaks of his desire to team with Bronny. Welcome to SportsCenter all night on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. We have plenty ahead, like the NFL approving a potential neutral site game for the AFC Championship, but tip it off from the association in a game showcased on ESPN. The Nets were fresh off losing for the first time in 13 games, and we're in New Orleans against a Pelicans team that didn't have Zion, but also had only 4 home losses all season. It came down to making plays late fourth quarter, and Brooklyn did.
They clear out with the exception of Durant on the right side of the floor. Jones got the better of KD on the last possession. What will happen here? It's Irving. Deep triple. Oh, Kyrie Irving with perhaps the dagger. Shakes the head, claps the hands. No, and he just hit a huge shot to put the Nets up 6. Largest lead of the game.
And at 3 with 44 ticks to go. Irving had 19. Kevin Durant, 33 points. Nets outlast the Pelicans 108-102. It's their 13th win in the last 14 games. New Orleans suffering just their 5th home loss this season. 2nd game since losing Zion Williamson, with what expected is to be a 3-week absence with that right hamstring strain. It was Durant postgame with our Cassidy Hubbard.
Katie, a grinded-out win. You and Kai didn't have your most efficient nights, but you hit shots when it mattered most. How do you describe this overall team win tonight?
Yeah, you got to give respect to the Pelicans. They come out and play fast and hard every possession, no matter who's on the floor. They have a lot of guys in and out the lineup, but they get some valuable minutes for their rotation players, and they played great tonight. And but I think tonight we came out, it was the tale of 2 halves. I think that second half defensively we were on one string. And even though we didn't get our shots to fall early on, and throughout the whole game, we just kept pressing, kept being aggressive. So it was a solid win for us.
And Nick Claxton made his presence felt throughout this game, specifically on the defensive end. How do you describe his impact and the growth you've seen from him this season?
Yeah, Jonas Valanciunas is tough to handle down in the post. And the first game we played him, he did a great job against us. So Nick wanted to, take the challenge on. I thought he did a solid job of not fouling and getting his hands on some basketballs and so we can get out in transition. So he's been great for us all year. We're going to need that going forward if we want to be a good team.
This was a lively atmosphere. We talked about how it felt kind of like the playoffs and against a team that doesn't quit. What does it say about where your squad is mentally to come back and fight and win this one?
I mean, they are missing a lot of guys, so you got to factor that into it as well. But it's New Orleans, it's energy as soon as you walk out your door. So they rallied around this team. We knew it was going to be a tough one in this environment. So no matter who's on the floor, we had to come out here and play our brand of ball, and I'm glad we got the win.
Yeah, despite the Nets' recent run of wins, Nick Friedel still not a buyer just yet on this Brooklyn Nets team. He joined Joe and Amber.
When you look back over the last 3-4 weeks through the month of December, they've really played 3 tough games. They lost to the Celtics at home, they beat Cleveland on the road, and they beat Milwaukee, although that was without Chris Middleton at Barclays Center. After that, they have cleaned up against bad teams. Now, there is something to be said for taking care of business, but I feel when you look at the schedule, this moment in time over the next few weeks, especially after that West Coast swing, it's going to define their season. Because if you make it through this and you have that record pretty close to where it's at now, and you get through that rough stretch in the schedule, and you keep everybody healthy, well, then Kevin Durant has come through probably the toughest stretch that he's going to see this season.
If he's able to hit here, it'll be a franchise record for points in a quarter, I'm being told by our extraordinary producer, Rob Longo. Jalen McDaniels, first free throw is good. A 50-point quarter. I take that to mean that this is the first time ever the Hornets have had such a thing in franchise history.
As heard on WFNZ, Terry Rozier had a season-high 39. Hornets matched an NBA record with 51 in the first quarter of a 138-109 rout at the Bucks. Charlotte's 51-point outburst tied the NBA mark for the most first-quarter points set by the Warriors against the Nuggets in 2019. It was also a franchise record for the most points in any period. Became just the third team in the shot clock era to score 50-plus in the first quarter of a road game. More NBA coming up.
The NFL announced Week 17 Bills-Bengals will not be resumed and has been canceled.
Basically, if you have an AFC Championship game in which the two teams played a different number of games, and one of them would have had a shot to be the higher seed but didn't get that shot, right? Then they'll be at a neutral site. And there are only really 3 possibilities. That's it. That's the basics. That's as simple as I can make it right now.
Yeah, the NFL owners have approved a resolution that could lead to a neutral site for the AFC Championship in response to the cancellation of Monday night's Bills-Bengals game after Buffalo safety Damar Hamlin collapsed on the field. The approval not only for a potential neutral site field in the AFC title game, but also potential coin flip for home field of the wild card matchup between the Bengals and Ravens. The potential neutral sites have not been determined. The plan changes were made over the objection of the Bengals, with Coach Zach Taylor saying he felt it was at a disadvantage for his team, this proposal, and Marcus Spears agrees.
It's fair for Zach Taylor to say, yeah, we missing an opportunity, and then if it was another way around, Kansas City would be like, well, they didn't play as many games as we played. But we all need to keep the main thing about why this happened. And I'm not trying to, Zach Taylor was wonderful. The Cincinnati Bengals were wonderful, tremendous in everything that happened on that Monday night football game. But I think somebody was going to come out of this, maybe not overly happy, but it was just going to be unfair to someone.
Yeah.
And I think the NFL is trying to make it work, but ultimately, like, disappointment or somebody being upset or angry about the format and the way it was going to play out was inevitable.
USA Today NFL reporter Nate Davis on Freddie and Fitzsimmons on what the objective of the league was.
I think they're trying to create fairness scenarios, if you will, between teams that are playing 16 games versus 17 games, and then teams that are an equal number of games. They're trying to keep the rules kind of in place. You know, for example, I asked today why there's not a scenario where if the Bills and the Bengals play again in the playoffs, for instance, why there's no neutral site scenario for that. So that could happen in the divisional round. But they, the answer to me was, since they're both gonna, since they will have both played 16 games, they have equity, whereas the Bills and the Bengals, for instance, would have inequity with Kansas City, which is going to play the full 17 games. So that's kind of where we are. You know, the Bills and the Bengals are not going to have that opportunity to get the number one seed, probably, and the Chiefs probably will. Basically, I think they don't want to give the home field to the Chiefs because a player, you know, had cardiac arrest on the field. So that's kind of what it boils down to.
And ultimately, Harry Douglas says the league got it right.
I think they actually got this right because there's so many different things that can go on. But I think at the same time, they're doing what's right and being empathetic towards the Buffalo Bills and Damar Hamlin and his situation. I don't think it's been too many times in NFL history where we've seen a corporation that's not known for doing things based on, you know, the feel of what's right on a normal basis. We just haven't seen it like that from the National Football League. And you could bring up all kind of scenarios and talk about those. And I think in this instant, you have the human element finally coming out of the National Football League in the league office and saying, you know what, this is the best that we can do to just make everything right. Is everything going to make sense? No, it's not. Is everything going to be fair? No, it's not. Life isn't fair because Damar Hamlin still is fighting for his life.
This press conference is about Damar Hamlin, whom we love. We continue to pray for them during this time. And Damar is and remains our number one concern.
Being on that field, you lose sleep, you hurt for your brother. A lot of shared grief, but getting updates and positive updates eases so much of that pain and that tension. We just want to love up on him, you know. So the next chance we get, I don't know when it's going to be. If we get to see him anytime soon, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, no question. Damar Hamlin is breathing on his own and was able to talk Friday after having his breathing tube removed. It is the latest step in a remarkable recovery in the 4 days since going into cardiac arrest. He even joined his Bills teammates via video conference, FaceTime several teammates, as well as others on other teams throughout the league. Hamlin's teammate, Dion Dawkins.
To see that boy's face, to see him smile, see him go like this in the camera, it was everything. So, and then to hear him talk to us, it was literally everything. And that's what we needed. Literally, that's all we needed. It's a roller coaster, but it's a roller coaster that has never been ridden. So it took us up, you know, it kind of went down and then it took us back up. So it was a unique experience. It still is. Like, it's far from over.
Yes, Coach Sean McDermott Friday on interacting with Hamlin.
I can't remember the order of things, and it was not a long interaction as you'd imagine. With his situation, but he made hand signals, hand gestures, right? The thing that makes me laugh is he did this to the guys, you know, right away. And, he flexed on them, I guess, and he's just got some staple things that they know him for and that he does, and he made the heart symbol probably more than anything. And then he gave him a thumbs up. So, and then somewhere in the midst of that, and it was a little bit hard to hear, but he, as you'd imagine, he said, I love you, boys.
Yeah, the latest Hamlin news comes 4 days after he went into cardiac arrest, was resuscitated on the field. Coley Harvey on the next steps for Hamlin.
When it comes to these types of cases, cardiac arrest events, and a patient is taken off the ventilator the next 12 to 24 hours after that, is when that patient is evaluated to see how they're breathing on their own and is still in the ICU. We are now close to 24 hours since Damar Hamlin was taken off that ventilator. It happened last night. So at some point tonight or tomorrow, Hamlin could actually be, if all goes well with the testing, could be moved to a general floor. That would be what normally happens if all goes well. At that time, his condition would be changed from critical to stable.
And his improved condition has not only impacted the Buffalo Bills and Cincinnati Bengals, two teams that were on the field on Monday, but players throughout the league. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes.
We go out there every week, and I'm not going to say we take it for granted, but you go out there and you play a game that you love and you just enjoy it. And you don't think about things like that happening. And whenever something like this happens, I think it impacts everybody. I mean, obviously, my prayers are with DeMar, his family, the Buffalo Bills, the Bengals, everyone that was in attendance at that game. But I mean, it sent chills through my body when I was watching it, and all I did was just sit there and pray for him, because that's all you can do when you feel like you can't help.
Along those lines, Ryan Clark, on how much this story has impacted the league and players across the NFL.
I don't think it affects them as much as it affects these two teams. Okay. Because, and you know, speaking to some of the players on the team, the actual scene of the things we did not see. Got it. I think that those players are forever affected in a different way. It's like anything else. We can hear something, but when you actually see it and live it, it affects you in a different way. This is much like paralysis, right? And it's a step further because he was fighting for his life. But I think we've all understood that there are certain risks with this game. I think this just adds another one that wasn't part of the layer of things that we thought about. And I don't want to be insensitive, because I believe we've all tried to do our best to stay in this moment. Eventually, people will forget that this happened to DeMar Hamlin.
Coming up the night in the NBA, as the Joker was on point while LeBron was back on the court for the Lakers, hoping he'll one day be on the floor with his son, Bronny. That's next. This is SportsCenter All Night on ESPN Radio.
Coming up Monday, I'll give you my biggest takeaways from a huge Week 18. Don't miss that at 7:15 a.m. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, Monday on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
This is SportsCenter All Night.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
The Michael K. Show is on.
John Ledecky, I just have to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It was such a generous package of Islander gear that you sent to my house and sent to the studio.
Well, thank you, Michael. I heard that Peter came to the arena and didn't let me know he was even there. So next time you come, Peter, we'd love to post you in the owner's box and show you around.
He's going to be a tenant there. You're going to have him removed at some point. That was a wrong guy to give that invitation to.
Don't miss the Michael K. Show. Weekdays at 3 on 98.7 ESPN.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
After redshirting his first year at Ohio State, Joe Burrow spent the next 2 years as JT Barrett's backup. With Dwayne Haskins on the roster, Burrow didn't see much playing time and decided to transfer. LSU head coach Ed Orgeron zeroed in on Burrow and landed him. In his second season at LSU, Burrow led the Tigers to a 15-0 record, a national championship, and arguably the best season ever by a college quarterback.
Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
You know that feeling when your football team adds that one player with every skill they've been looking for? It's time your business knew how it felt too. LinkedIn Jobs taps into a network of over 850 million professionals to find the right people for your role. LinkedIn Jobs helps you narrow down to the most qualified candidates so you can start hiring the right people. Go to linkedin.com/sports to post your job for free. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
You wash your hands, you brush your teeth, but what about the nose? How do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, and germs. And it's why cleaning your nose, the body's air filter, is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. People try Navage for lots of reasons: sinusitis, colds, allergies, snoring, things that make it hard to breathe through your nose. But over time, they find that cleaning their nose makes them feel better, a lot better. Over 3 million Navage users have written more than 100,000 reviews, averaging 4.7 stars, saying, best product I've ever used, and amazing. I love my Navage. Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less, but the biggest payoff is improved health. Navage is good personal hygiene and can help you stay healthier. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
And now a small business setback. Set to smooth jazz.
It's late. You're driving in the rain with only one thing on your mind. The deer about to total your HVAC van. But with Progressive's 30-plus customizable coverage options, you're covered. The rest is just saxophone.
When running your small business gets rough, Progressive Commercial is there to smooth it out. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Twinkly sound.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage and discounts not available for all vehicles or states. Policy terms and conditions apply.
The all-new Weekend Wager comes to 98.7 ESPN on Friday nights at 10 p.m. It's presented by BetMGM Sports. Don't be left out of the action.
This is SportsCenter all night on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Here's Jim Basquiat.
Yeah, be a part of the Sports Center All Night Nation on the Dr. Pepper call line. Calls at 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. ESPN Nation is presented by Dr. Pepper. It ain't football season without the delicious taste of an ice-cold Dr. Pepper, the one fans deserve. We're back on Sports Center All Night with the NBA, and for the second time this week, the Nuggets were delayed in the game because the rim was crooked. Denver's game these days is certainly straight.
Outlet pass off over to Garland. Down the lane he goes. Blocked by Gordon from behind. Loose ball down to Bruce Brown. He's got a full head of steam. Now he peels off to the high right side. Now he's in the corner against Mobley. Off to Jokic. He gets down the lane on Allen. Layup. Got it.
Yeah, it's Altitude Radio Network. Nikola Jokic, a triple-double, 28 points, 15 rebounds, 10 assists. As the Nuggets take care of Donovan Mitchell's absence, beat the Cavs 121-108. Denver had 17 three-pointers, 12th win in their last 15 games. Meantime, LeBron played Friday against the Hawks after missing Wednesday's game versus the Heat because of a non-COVID illness, and he played well.
Here's LeBron picking up the ball and giving it to Wenyen Gabriel. Back to LeBron for another dunk. And LeBron is starting to take over. 25 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds.
Yeah, LBJ just showing off. 7-10 ESPN LA, 25-10-7 his final line. Lakers 130-114 over the Hawks. James with our Dave McMenamin on his goals to ultimately be on the same pro floor as his son Bronny.
I need to be on the floor with my boy. I got to be on the floor with Bronny. Or, a matchup against him. But I would love to do the whole Ken Griffey Sr. Jr. thing. That would be ideal for sure. Being with him, spending a full year with him in the same uniform, that would be the icing on the cake.
And that would be a sight to behold. Don't forget, he's a free agent after next season, which would coincide with Bronny's arrival in the league.
A minus 26. There's a lob inside D'Angelo Russell to Rudy Gobert. It's a 25-point, 20-rebound, 3-block game for Rudy Gobert.
That's 8:30 WCCO. Rudy Gobert, 25 points, 21 rebounds. Minnesota beating Los Angeles, the Clippers, that is, 128-115. LA playing without Paul George and again without Kawhi Leonard, who has sprinkled in playing games this season.
Levine comes off the screen. Left wing three. Bam! Zach Levine with 10 3 balls. He's got 38. Put him in the hole. Put him in the Hall of Fame. Timeout, Philly.
He finished with 11, 670 the score, 11 of 13 from beyond the arc, 41 points for Levine. The Bulls beat the Sixers 126-112, ending Philadelphia's home winning streak at 11. Nikola Vucevic, a triple-double, 19, 18, and 10. Joel Embiid missing his second straight game because of soreness in that left foot.
Nembhard wandering left edge of the arc. Now snaps the ball to Halliburton, who drives it off a Turner screen. 3-ball right side, right down the middle. And that will lead to a Portland timeout. The Pacers, after the Blazers tied the game, have scored 7 straight, and they're in front 106-99.
Yeah, Tyrese Halliburton scored 7 of his 15 in the final 6 minutes, as heard on 107.5 FM, 1070 The Fan. Indiana 108-99 over Portland. Halliburton also had a dozen assists as the Pacers have won 5 straight at home and 7 of their last 9 overall.
Front court right, spreading the floor, 32 seconds, 13 to shoot, a 2-point lead. Everybody standing at Scotiabank Arena. Brunson working by Van Vliet, into the lane, stops, leans in, shot, got in! Lays it in and a foul with 22.8 to go, and the Knicks by 4 at 110-106. Brunson to the basket and a chance at 3.
That's 98.7 ESPN New York. Jalen Brunson, 26. Julius Randle, 32 points, 11 rebounds. Knicks beat the Raptors 112-108. 4th straight win for them. They win north of the border for the first time in more than 7 years, snapping an 11-game road slide against the Raptors.
Up the right side to Shea, weaving his way inside of Morris for the dunk. Oh, big-time move by Gilgeous Alexander. That's an all-star move right there, baby.
Yeah, that's a sports animal, 98-1 right there. And Shea Gilgeous Alexander, again, 30 points. Oklahoma City finished off a regular season sweep of Washington, 127-110, while the Spurs get a big night.
Down low now, Pirtle. Coasting up on Duran, backing him down in the paint. A one-hander, shots around the rim and good for Jakob Pirtle.
Pirtle scores there. Trey Jones, 25. San Antonio besting Detroit 121-109. That snaps a 3-game slide. The Mavericks waive veteran Kemba Walker just before his contract becomes guaranteed. One note from baseball, the Dodgers cutting ties with Trevor Bauer after an unprecedented 324-game suspension over sexual misconduct allegations reduced 2 weeks ago, allowing him to resume his career. LA is on the hook for better than $22 million still owed this coming season, regardless of who he might hook up with. Coming up, the AFC title game could be played at a neutral site, and the Jaguars and Titans play for a division title. That is later on tonight. We look ahead when SportsCenter All Night returns. This is ESPN Radio.
Hey, it's Greeny, and it is a huge football weekend with all the playoff implications, and we're working our way ahead to the national championship game in college football. We'll be the place to talk about it all Monday. It's Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Anyone who has ever
A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Transitioning out of the military, it's difficult. Just about everything around you changes. I would get phone calls that brothers were dying, some of them to suicide. And I'd found myself in another cold cemetery. And I started to wonder if I was next. It's a struggle to know that you're facing challenges, but not be ready to face them. Sleep doesn't come easy, and when it comes, it doesn't last long. You're tired all the time. I didn't reach out for that help, but But thank God my wife did. She got me registered for Wounded Warrior Project. Talking to somebody that would listen to me and understood my story helped me realize that it was time to change. There's a new fight. There's a new mission, and that's something I'm eternally grateful for.
See how we help warriors combat stigma at woundedwarriorproject.org/combat stigma.
Hey, son, how are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it.
When your kid can't find the language, find the lyrics. Start a conversation at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
LA's mega sports station.
710 ESPN.
This is SportsCenter all night on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Here's Jim Basquiat.
And ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle motorcycle, RV, and boat insurance. Visit progressive.com.
Half-hour headlines on SportsCenter all night.
Again, our top stories. The Nets get a big night from KD and winning in the Big Easy, 13 of 14 for Brooklyn. The Joker triple-doubles the Cavs, who were without Donovan Mitchell. LeBron says his goal is to play with son Bronny, and more uplifting news concerning the Bills. Damar Hamlin.
The NFL announced Week 17 Bills-Bengals has been canceled.
If we have an AFC Championship game, the two teams played a different number of games, and one of them would have had a shot to be the higher seed but didn't get that shot, right? Then they'll be at a neutral site. And there are only really three possibilities.
NFL owners have approved a resolution that could lead to a neutral site for the AFC Championship game in response to the cancellation of Monday night's Bills-Bengals game. The potential neutral sites have not been determined, though not everyone pleased. Dan Graziano with Greeny.
There are people that are uncomfortable with it, and I think that is inevitable in a situation like this. I don't think there was going to be a solution. Even if the league did nothing at all, people would have been uncomfortable with it because you have a situation where teams have played different number of games, and we haven't seen that before. So I think we have to get to the point where we've made our peace with the discomfort and then move ahead to the point of a solution that we acknowledge is going to bring about some discomfort.
Along those lines, the plan changes made over the objection of the Bengals, with coach Zach Taylor saying his team felt it was at a disadvantage by the proposal. ESPN Bengals reporter Ben Baby.
Zach Taylor echoed the sentiments that have been percolating around Cincinnati going back to last night. Our Seth Wickersham obtained a memo from Executive Vice President Katie Blackburn to all the NFL teams, urging them to vote against the proposal and stick with the rules that are currently on the books that go with winning percentage to determine the seeding instead of what was ratified earlier today. Now, I was in the room with Zach Taylor when he spoke with local reporters, and the sentiment that Zach shared, he echoed what Katie told the owners last night. He said that they would just like the rules to be followed, and he was very stern, and I think the most animated, I would say, I've seen Zach in a very long time. You're talking about a guy who's very calm, very measured, but you could sense the frustration that he shared, and you felt that in the locker room as well.
Harry Douglas has an idea. If the Bills and Bengals meet up in the postseason,
there's a possibility that these two teams can face in the playoffs. That game, in my eyes, has to be played at a neutral site. It cannot be played in Cincinnati, and I'll even say it can't be played at Buffalo, just because, all the teams potentially could have opportunity to be the number one seed. That game has to be played at a neutral site for the mental psyche of players for the Cincinnati Bengals, for the mental psyche of players for the Buffalo Bills. Being on that field, you lose sleep, you hurt for your brother. Getting updates and positive updates eases so much of that pain and that tension. We just want to love up on him. So the next chance we get, if we get to see him anytime soon, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, Damar Hamlin is breathing on his own and was able to talk after having his breathing tube removed Friday. It is the latest step in his remarkable recovery in the 4 days since going into cardiac arrest. He even joined his Bills teammates via video conference, FaceTiming those mates, as long as other ex-teammates with other teams. It comes 4 days after he went into cardiac arrest and was resuscitated on the field. His coach, Sean McDermott.
They didn't know that we were going to do that, and wanted to
make sure that was actually going to be able to happen with DeMar's medical schedule there. And to be able to, when I said that we had a treat in store, it was just, you could see the look on their eye in anticipation of what was probably coming. And then to get the Zoom, and when he came on the screen, and Tabani, our assistant trainer, has done a phenomenal job out there helping facilitate that this morning as well. And to see the players' reaction, they stood up right away and clapped for him, and yelled some things to him, and it was a pretty cool exchange for a few seconds there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to hear as well. Marcus Spears on what Hamlin's improvement has meant for the league.
I think everybody felt like it was a heavy weight, especially in our business where we had to talk about it. I mean, our responsibility obviously is to talk about all sports, but we cover football and we know how important the NFL and the stories around the NFL is to what we do in this business. But it just didn't feel the same. I said it to your point Tuesday, nothing's funny. It felt like it was just a absolute pause to everything that was going on. It felt like we were going 100 miles an hour for football and gearing up for the playoffs and talking about these scenarios to nothing else about football mattering.
And don't forget, the Bills have an important game on Sunday against the Patriots as they step back on the field. Brandon Beane, their GM, on what the last few days have been like for this organization.
It was a roller coaster, Matty, but just seeing his parents and the strength that they shown through this time and different friends and family that showed up, it was great to see and learn more about DeMar. Obviously I knew who he was through the draft process and then just getting to know him this last year and a half, but you learn so much more and you see why he is who he is by, spending time with Mario and Nina. It's just so impressed with the medical team too. Just these people, yes, they're medical people, but their bedside manner, their care, hugging us and seeing tears out of their eyes. I mean, there's going to be a huge party when DeMar gets out of there. And that's the only part I'm sad that I'm not going to be able to see him walk out of there, but I'm going to be so thrilled when we get him back here.
We understand. I mean, that's just the nature of this game, right? It's win and you're in.
I like the Jaguars' energy right now, and it all starts with the quarterback.
Job's not finished. We have to win this game moving forward. We kind of get what we earn every week.
He is throwing confidently. He is playing quickly, and if he continues to be this guy, Jaguars are for real, man.
We were 2-6 at one point. We were 3-7 at one point, and our goals were still in front of us.
It wasn't easy to get in this spot, especially the way we started the season.
Call it what it is, a playoff football game.
Yeah, it's an ESPN, ABC, ESPN Plus NFL doubleheader later today. Chiefs, Raiders, 4:30 Eastern. Titans, Jaguars at 8:15. The winner of that game wins the AFC South. The playoffs start tonight for Doug Peterson and his Jaguars.
These are games that, they're playoff games, right? That's just exactly what it is. Call it what it is, a playoff football game. And you win, you keep going. And, with a young football team, it's about how we handle the week, because the emotions are going to run high. And you just gotta kind of pace yourself throughout the course of the week and just turn it loose, Saturday night. But, I think the guys have really and felt that they've done a really good job the last couple of days, handling all that.
And the other side of it is they will see a heavy dose of Derrick Henry.
Trust and believe in, the culture here, the guys here, and, teammates and our game plan and, and what we want to do, the style of football we like to play. And I think it's just, wanting to get back into that, coming to work every day with a great mindset, positive attitude, and wanting to get better and pushing each other to be better. Just when we go out there, we execute and do what we can do on Saturday.
Bengals Ravens on Sunday. John Harbaugh is saying that they won't have Lamar Jackson under center once again for the season finale. Yes, a little frustrations for the Ravens not having their best player. Jamison Hensley covers the Baltimore Ravens. Join KJ Maxx.
I think it's a frustrating situation where you're getting ready to get to the playoffs and you don't have the best player on your team out there on the practice field. But I don't think you can't say, oh, he's frustrated with Lamar. You know, it's more, I think, the situation in itself.
How about the Giants-Eagles? So much meaning in this kickoff for Philly, number 1 seed in home field throughout the NFC playoffs at stake. Tim McManus covers them, had this latest update regarding Jalen Hurts.
Well, Eagles receiver A.J. Brown all smiles at his locker stall, talking about the nearing return of his good friend Jalen Hurts. So that Hurts has looked really sharp in practice, adding that he's got some rust to knock off, but confident that he's going to be fine come Sunday. And that's the hope, as Hurts has taken the bulk of the first-team reps at practice this week and showing some added velocity, particularly in one sequence where he was rolling left, had to throw across his body, demonstrating improvement even from this time last week. But there are some questions about the overall health of that right shoulder still. He was limited in practice and didn't want to speak with the media on Friday because he hadn't been officially told yet that he was the starter. So the sense is that the Eagles are going to have to tailor the game plan some and run Hurts less. Coach Nick Sirianni saying that Hurts has to be smart about when to take a hit and when not to, regardless of whether he has a shoulder injury, and that the coaching staff needs to be smart in the way that they call plays.
Sal Paolantonio on the importance for Philly.
It's critically important, Key. Critically important. You got to get the mojo back in this football team. And the mojo is 2 words: Jalen Hurts. Everything that we're hearing out of South Philly on the QT is that he's going to start in this football game against the New York Football Giants. And it couldn't come at a better time, because last week the Saints come in, they're 0-4 against teams with a winning record, 1-6 on the road. The Eagles are 7-point favorites, and the Eagles scored 10 points when they've been scoring 29 points a game. They got to get their mojo back on offense, and it's got to start right away.
Rodgers buying time, looking, lost, outside of the end zone. Touchdown, Robert Tonyan.
Hard to go against Green Bay at home, despite Detroit's massive progress they made this year.
It comes down to players. Players win games.
You get to go to Lambeau, where the tops in this division has been Green Bay every year. I mean, I just don't think you'd want it any other way.
Yeah, it's a win and in scenario for the Packers in Sunday Night Football against the Lions. Detroit needs some help by day for them to have a shot at reaching the postseason, though Ryan Clark sides with the home team.
No matter how we try to talk ourselves out of it, it's still Aaron Rodgers. At home. No matter how we talk about ourselves out, it's still Lambeau Field. Mm-hmm. It's still a defense that's created 12 turnovers in 4 games. It's a coach in Matt LaFleur that has figured out that the run game is more important than the pass game. And if we lead with Aaron Jones, now we can find ways to create big plays in play action with Aaron Rodgers. They seem to understand now what is their easiest path or the straight line path to winning.
Browns defensive end Jadeveon Clowney sent home Friday, will not practice after he made critical comments about the team. Dolphins to start Skylar Thompson in their pivotal matchup against the Jets. He starts under center and will oppose Joe Flacco, who the Jets named starter over Zach Wilson. The College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern on Monday night, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. The ESPN Megacast offering multiple viewing angles, unique analysis, and hometown radio calls on many of your favorite ESPN platforms. TCU averaging 41 a game. Scored that number against Michigan. Can they dent the vaunted Dogs D? Sonny Dykes' first season has produced a 13-1 record and trip to the title game. He joined our Molly McGrath.
Coach, what was it like for you and your team to touch down here in Los Angeles for the national championship?
Yeah, it's good to get here. It's good. It's been a long week, just trying to get prepared, and we've had a good week. Guys have practiced well, and had a good workout this morning. So we're excited to get here and get settled and start preparing.
How did you balance preparation and recovery from the semifinal this week?
Yeah, I gave the guys a couple days off and gave us a chance to game plan and get caught up. And it's been a good week. The guys are excited to play. We've had to probably scale them back more than anything else. They've been anxious and excited, but we've had good work, and I think we're in a good place.
Ahead of the semifinal, you wanted your team to enjoy themselves because 90% of them had never even been to a bowl game. What will your approach be this week?
Kind of the same thing. We're not here as long. It's a little bit a shorter trip, and we're probably a little bit more focused in and ready to go, I think, than we probably were last week. So we're only going to be here for a couple of nights, and it's going to be all preparation, a lot of little details, things we're going to try to get done over here in the next 72 hours. But more than anything else, just get ready to go play.
What does your team need to do here in Los Angeles to take down the defending national champs?
Well, it's all about focus and preparation and doing things right and making sure we've covered all the bases. And we've got quite a bit of time to do that and a great opportunity to do it. So, guys just got to keep doing what they've done all year and go out and play hard and do their job and enjoy the ride.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Again, our coverage of the BCS National Title Game Monday comes at 7 Eastern. News from the Sports Center All Night Nation. Just hit us up on that Dr. Pepper call line at 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Coming up, will Jim Harbaugh be back at Michigan? We explore the night's top sounds. That's next. This is Sports Center All Night on ESPN Radio.
Coming up Monday, I'll tell you why another championship for Kirby Smart in Georgia would make them the gold standard in college football. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, Monday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
More Sports Center All Night. Next.
Taken by LeBron. LeBron ahead to Schroeder.
Every moment of the Lakers happens here.
Schroeder to LeBron. Reverse on an alley-oop. Turn around and throw it in reverse. He reverse dunked off an alley-oop pass.
The LeBron Show just can't be stopped.
Dunk of the year by LeBron.
The home of LeBron James and the Lakers is right here.
710 ESPN.
And this place is buzzing.
What is going on, Laker fans? Alan Sliwa here. Want to introduce something brand new on our YouTube channel, ESPN LA. You got to get on there. You got to subscribe. Lakers Talk Daily. Monday through Friday, we're putting out Lakers content. We're reacting to games. So we're coming up with topics that we think Laker fans are interested in, and we're doing it Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, and it's all on ESPN LA. So get out on YouTube, get on our ESPN LA page, subscribe to the channel, and of course, we read off your comments, and we get topics specifically from you.
I spent a lot of time in the garage, but even more time in the rain and mud. In 95, I helped tow your moving trailer. And in 09, it was sparks from me, your chains, dragging behind your truck that accidentally started a wildfire.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, that frog will boil. As a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans, it's a story that rings true. We learn to endure the heat in silence. We apply what we learn to life. The bills, the job, the family, things we're expected to handle with ease. When life heats up around us, we just try to stay afloat. We let the water boil. Reaching out isn't easy, but you've never been interested in easy. You joined because you were not afraid of hard work. You are not a frog. If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait until the water boils. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach. Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max in the morning.
LA Sports Talk all day long. 710 ESPN.
This is Sports Center All Night on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Here's Jim Basquil.
Hey, the College Football National Championship presented by AT&T. It's Georgia and TCU coverage. Monday comes at 7 Eastern right here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. ESPN betting analyst Joe Fortenbaugh, host of Joe and Amber here on ESPN Radio. had this on why he sides with the Dogs for a repeat natty.
I'm going to lay the 12 with Georgia. It seems like it might continue to drop. I understand how well TCU has played. I've been a big fan of TCU this season, but I'm going to play Georgia. I think the worst thing for TCU was the fact that Georgia pretty much lost that game to Ohio State last week. If Georgia had blown them out, it would have been a great spot for TCU. TCU was very fortunate against Michigan. All credit to them for making the plays, but are you going to have 2 pick sixes in this game? Are you going to hold Georgia to 3 of 15 on 3rd and 4th down like you did Michigan? Are you going to have a situation where the refs call a Roman Wilson touchdown down at the 1 and then you get a fumble? Everything broke TCU's way. They deserve it. They deserve to be here. They've been fantastic, a wonderful story, but I do like Georgia minus the 12. I'd play the under here as well.
All good questions, by the way. And meantime, news from the SportsCenter All Night Nation. Just hit us up on the Dr. Pepper call line at 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Like, will Jim Harbaugh be back in Ann Arbor with the NCAA investigating Michigan? Paul Feinbaum thinks so.
I don't, and I think about this. They knew the story was coming out. That's the way the industry works. You call a school to get comment. So I think they rushed that statement out by Harbaugh, which made no sense at all, other than stating the obvious. And I think it's setting up his departure. Jim Harbaugh is one of the most difficult people in the world to predict. But with these type of offers coming in, I think you'll take one. And don't forget, sitting here in February, we were talking about on signing day, Jim Harbaugh trying to get the Minnesota Vikings job. I think he wants out of there in spite of that bloviating statement and in spite of this NCAA investigation.
So he thinks he won't be back. How about the night's top sounds, including a franchise record quarter for the Bees and a pair of daggers from deep from the association? Kevin Winter has the details.
Number 5. Jim, all of our plays from Friday night come from the association, and we actually have to go back to Thursday night, where the Los Angeles Clippers got utterly embarrassed on national television by the Denver Nuggets. It's the back half of a back-to-back. They were in Minnesota on Friday. But, you know, Paul George played 14 excruciating minutes on Thursday. Kawhi Leonard exasperated himself for 18 minutes on Thursday night. So you know what? They didn't have enough in the tank to play on the second half of a back-to-back. Must be nice to play for the Clippers and work for the Clippers. Get paid a boatload of money, don't have to do any work. Oh, by the way, his teammates can run again in Minnesota. Alan Horton with the call on WCCO.
Pushing your way, pushing your defender out of the way. Russell to Gobert, he'll tap the rim and jam it with 2 hands. Nicely done. 21 for Rudy tonight. He'll go along with 13 rebounds.
Number 4. Jim, Portland was on the road visiting the Indiana Pacers. The game got tight, late stages. However, Tyrese Halliburton said, enough with that, time to go home. The call on 107.5 and 1070 The Fan in Indianapolis.
Nembhard wandering left edge of the arc. Now snaps the ball to Halliburton, who drives it off a Turner screen. 3-ball right side, right down the middle. And that will lead to a Portland timeout. The Pacers, after the Blazers tied the game, have scored 7 straight, and they're in front 106-99.
Number 3. Jim, the Hornets did dirty things to the Milwaukee Bucks. They put up 84 points in the first half. That's the Hornets franchise record. Jalen McDaniels also set the record for most points in a quarter. Sam Farber had the call on WFNZ.
If he's able to hit here, it'll be a franchise record for points in a quarter, I'm being told by our extraordinary producer, Rob Longo. Jalen McDaniels, first free throw is good. A 50-point quarter. I take that to mean that this is the first time ever the Hornets have had such a thing in franchise history.
Number 2. Jim, the Chicago Bulls last time out snapped the Brooklyn Nets 12-game winning streak. On Friday night, the Bulls are on the road visiting the Philadelphia 76ers, who were riding an 11-game home winning streak. And that, too, came to a close. Chuck Chorsky with the call on 670 The Score as Zach LaVine went nuts. LaVine comes off the screen. Left wing 3. Bam! Zach LaVine with 10 3-balls. He's got 38. Put him in the hole. Put him in the Hall of Fame. Timeout, Philly. Number 1. Speaking of the Brooklyn Nets, Jim, in New Orleans, taking on the Pelicans on ESPN television. 3-point game late. Kyrie Irving was guarded by Jose Alvarado. You know that little short, pesky dude? Irving went right in his eye hole for a 3-ball. Dave Pash with the call on ESPN.
They clear out with the exception of Durant on the right side of the floor. Jones got the better of KD on the last possession. What will happen here? It's Irving. Deep triple. Oh, Kyrie Irving. With perhaps the dagger. Shakes the head, claps the hands. No, and he just hit a huge shot to put the Nets up 6. Largest lead in the game.
Yeah, Kyrie with a dagger there. Kevin with a dagger for Kawhi Leonard. Perhaps deservedly so. Night on ice, Ryan McDonough scored late in the third to extend the Preds' winning streak to 3-2 at Washington. The Caps had their 9-game point streak snapped. Kyle Connor set a franchise record 41st game-winning goal. Jets passed the Lightning of 4-2, and the Flames over the Islanders 4-1. Calgary wins for the third time in 4 games. No Matt Barzal for New York, who got back a rusty Semyon Varlamov. Reaction to the national championship with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU Monday, 6 to 10 a.m. Eastern. How about this? The Big East Conference says Sunday's women's game between number 5 UConn and DePaul Gamble Pavilion in Storrs, Connecticut, postponed because the Huskies don't have enough healthy players available to suit up. You need at least 6. Coming up, the latest on Damar Hamlin and if the NFL will consider a neutral site for the AFC title game. That's next. This is ESPN Radio.
Coming up on Monday, I'll give you my top 5 NBA teams of the year thus far. And you might be shocked about who is number 1. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, Monday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
The top headlines are next on SportsCenter All Night.
Straight.
Outlet pass off over to Garland. Down the lane he goes. Blocked by Gordon from behind. Loose ball down to Bruce Brown. He's got a full head of steam. Now he peels off to the high right side. Now he's in the corner against Mobley. Off to Jokic. He gets down the lane on Allen. Layup. Got it.
Yeah, that's Altitude Radio Network. Nikola Jokic, a triple-double, 28 points, 15 rebounds, 10 assists. As the Nuggets take care of Donovan Mitchell's absence, beat the Cavs 121-108. Denver had 17 three-pointers, 12th win in their last 15 games. Meantime, LeBron played Friday against the Hawks after missing Wednesday's game versus the Heat because of a non-COVID illness, and he played well.
Here's LeBron picking up the ball and giving it to Wenyen Gabriel. Back to LeBron for another dunk. And LeBron is starting to take over. 25 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds.
Yeah, LBJ just showing off. 7-10 ESPN LA, 25-10-7 his final line. Lakers 130-114 over the Hawks. James with our Dave McMenamin on his goals to ultimately be on the same pro floor as his son Bronny.
I need to be on the floor with my boy. I got to be on the floor with Bronny. You know, either on the same uniform or, a matchup against him. But I would love to do the whole King Griffey Sr. Jr. thing. That would be ideal for sure. Being with him, spending a full year with him in the same uniform, that would be the icing on the cake.
And that would be a sight to behold. Don't forget, he's a free agent after next season, which would coincide with Bronny's arrival in the league.
A minus 26. There's allowed inside D'Angelo Russell to Rudy Gobert. It's a 25-point, 20-rebound, 3-block game for Rudy Gobert.
That's 8:30 WCCO. Rudy Gobert, 25 points, 21 rebounds. Minnesota beating Los Angeles, the Clippers, that is, 128-115. LA playing without Paul George and again without Kawhi Leonard, who has sprinkled in playing games this season.
Levine comes off the screen. Left wing 3. Bam! Zach Levine with 10 3 balls. He's got 38. Put him in the hole. Put him in the Hall of Fame. Timeout, Philly.
He finished with 11, 670 the score, 11 of 13 from beyond the arc, 41 points for Levine. The Bulls beat the Sixers 126-112, ending Philadelphia's home winning streak at 11. Nikola Vucevic, a triple-double, 19, 18, and 10. Joel Embiid missing his second straight game because of soreness in that left foot.
Nembhard wandering left edge of the arc. Now snaps the ball to Halliburton, who drives it off a Turner screen. 3 ball right side, right down the middle. and that will lead to a Portland timeout. The Pacers, after the Blazers tied the game, have scored 7 straight, and they're in front 106-99.
Yeah, Tyrese Halliburton scored 7 of his 15 in the final 6 minutes, as heard on 107.5 FM, 1070 The Fan. Indiana 108-99 over Portland. Halliburton also had a dozen assists as the Pacers have won 5 straight at home and 7 of their last 9 overall.
Front court right, spreading the floor, 32 seconds, 13 to shoot, a 2-point lead. Everybody standing at Scotiabank Arena. Brunson working by Van Vliet, into the lane, stops, leans in, shot, got it! Lays it in and a foul with 22.8 to go, and the Knicks by 4 at 110-106. Brunson to the basket and a chance at 3.
That's 98.7 ESPN New York. Jalen Brunson, 26. Julius Randle, 32 points, 11 rebounds. Knicks beat the Raptors 112-108. 4th straight win for them. They win north of the border for the first time in more than 7 years, snapping an 11-game road slide against the Raptors.
Up the right side to Shea, weaving his way inside of Morris for the dunk. Oh, big-time move by Gilgeous Alexander. That's an all-star move right there, baby.
Yeah, that's a sports animal, 98-1 right there. And Shea Gilgeous Alexander, again, 30 points. Oklahoma City finished off a regular season sweep of Washington, 127-110, while the Spurs get a big night.
Down low now, Pirtle. Posting up on Duran, backing him down in the paint. A one-hander, shot is around the rim and good for Jakob Pirtle.
Pirtle scores there. Trey Jones, 25. San Antonio besting Detroit 121-109. That snaps a 3-game slide. The Mavericks waive veteran Kemba Walker just before his contract becomes guaranteed. One note from baseball, the Dodgers cutting ties with Trevor Bauer after an unprecedented 324-game suspension over sexual misconduct allegations reduced 2 weeks ago, allowing him to resume his career. LA is on the hook for better than $22 million still owed this coming season, regardless of who he might hook up with. Coming up, the AFC title game could be played at a neutral site, and the Jaguars and Titans play for a division title. That is later on tonight. We look ahead when SportsCenter All Night returns. This is ESPN Radio.
Hey, it's Greeny, and it is a huge football weekend with all the playoff implications, and we're working our way ahead to the national championship game in college football. We'll be the place to talk about it all Monday. It's Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN.
What is going on, Laker fans? Alan Sliwa here. Want to introduce something brand new on our YouTube channel, ESPN LA. You got to get on there. You got to subscribe. Lakers Talk Daily. Monday through Friday, we're putting out Lakers content. We're reacting to games. So we're coming up with topics that we think Laker fans are interested in, and we're doing it Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, and it's all on ESPN LA. So get out on YouTube. Get on our ESPN LA page. Subscribe to the channel. And, of course, we read off your comments, and we get topics specifically from you.
If you have ever thought about remodeling your bathroom but were worried it would take too long or cost too much, then stop worrying. Right now, Jacuzzi Bath Remodel has designed a collection of high-quality custom products and perfected the one-day remodeling experience so you can enjoy your new bathroom faster than ever before. It's a worry-free bath remodel from the most trusted brand name in the business, Jacuzzi. A Jacuzzi bath system fits in your existing tub space. It's a no-mess installation with an amazing style selection, factory-certified installers, and a limited lifetime warranty. Call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599 right now and get 50% off installation with no interest and no payments for 12 months. Replace that old bathtub today with a walk-in shower for a safer bathing experience. If you have lived in your home for over 15 years, it's time to remodel your bathroom. For a virtual or in-home appointment, call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599. 800-717-4599.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
So what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, or you can't drive high. You can run, or you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Talking to your kids about the dangers of vaping can be hard. Getting them to listen to hot gossip is easy. So here's some drama you could share with your kid. Dude, did you hear about Cassie and Jake? No, but did you hear that vaping can cause irreversible lung damage and nicotine affects brain development? Nuh-uh. You don't need to gossip if you want to have an open conversation about vaping. So if you want to get tips on when and how to talk to your kids, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max in the morning.
LA Sports Talk all day long. 710 ESPN.
This is SportsCenter all night on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Here's Jim Pasquale.
And ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle motorcycle, RV, and boat insurance. Visit progressive.com.
Half-hour headlines on SportsCenter all night.
Again, our top stories. The Nets get a big night from KD and winning in the Big Easy, 13 of 14 for Brooklyn. The Joker triple-doubles the Cavs, who were without Donovan Mitchell. LeBron says his goal is to play with son Bronny. And more uplifting news concerning the Bills. Damar Hamlin.
The NFL announced Week 17 Bills-Bengals has been canceled.
If we have an AFC Championship game, the two teams played a different number of games, and one of them would have had a shot to be the higher seed but didn't get that shot, right? Then they'll be at a neutral site. And there are only really 3 possibilities.
NFL owners have approved a resolution that could lead to a neutral site for the AFC Championship game in response to the cancellation of Monday night's Bills-Bengals game. The potential neutral sites have not been determined, though not everyone pleased. Dan Graziano with Greeny.
There are people that are uncomfortable with it, and I think that is inevitable in a situation like this. I don't think there was going to be a solution. Even if the league did nothing at all, people would have been uncomfortable with it because you have a situation where teams have played different number of games, and we haven't seen that before. So I think we have to get to the point where we've made our peace with the discomfort and then move ahead to the point of a solution that we acknowledge is going to bring about some discomfort.
Along those lines, the plan changes made over the objection of the Bengals, with Coach Zach Taylor saying his team felt it was at a disadvantage by the proposal. ESPN Bengals reporter Ben Baby.
Zach Taylor echoed the sentiments that have been percolating around Cincinnati going back to last night. Seth Wickersham obtained a memo from Executive Vice President Katie Blackburn to all the NFL teams, urging them to vote against the proposal and stick with the rules that are currently on the books that go with winning percentage to determine the seeding instead of what was ratified earlier today. Now, I was in the room with Zach Taylor when he spoke with local reporters, and the sentiment that Zach shared, he echoed what Katie told the owners last night. He said that they would just like the rules to be followed, and he was very stern, and I think the most animated, I would say, I've seen Zach in a very long time. You're talking about a guy who's very calm, very measured, but you could sense the frustration that he shared, and you felt that in the locker room as well.
Harry Douglas has an idea. If the Bills and Bengals meet up in the postseason,
there's a possibility that these two teams could face in the playoffs.
that game, in my eyes, has to be played at a neutral site. It cannot be played in Cincinnati, and I'll even say it can't be played at Buffalo just because, all the teams potentially could have opportunity to be the number one seed. That game has to be played at a neutral site for the mental psyche of players for the Cincinnati Bengals, for the mental psyche of players for the Buffalo Bills.
Being on that field, you lose sleep, you hurt for your brother. Getting updates and positive updates eases so much of that pain and that tension. We just want to love up on him. So the next chance we get, if we get to see him anytime soon, man, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, Damar Hamlin is breathing on his own and was able to talk after having his breathing tube removed Friday. It is
In a classroom somewhere in the United States, there's a teacher inspiring a future scientist who will make preventing pandemics their life's work, sharpening the mind of an aspiring environmentalist who will help combat climate change, and generating possibilities for a student who will be the first in their family to graduate college. It all starts with teachers who meet challenges with creativity, who reinvent education for the future, who work towards a school system that lifts up every child, regardless of race, income, or zip code, and to enable the full potential of our students, our communities, and our country. Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Shape the future. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
KSPN AM 710 Los Angeles. KRDC AM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
710 ESPN.
A Good Karma Brands radio station.
This is SportsCenter.
Is not. After having a 12-game win streak snapped Wednesday by the Bulls, the Nets went into New Orleans, handled the Pelicans, who did play without the injured Zion Williamson. Final 108-102. Kevin Durant with 33 to lead the way, and got a chance to talk about performing against a solid opponent.
You got to give respect to the Pelicans. They come out and play fast and hard every possession, no matter who's on the floor.
For the ones who get it done. ESPN 1050 ESPN New York. The biggest names and the biggest games. WEPN New York. A Good Karma Brands radio station.
This is SportsCenter.
Is not. After having a 12-game win streak snapped Wednesday by the Bulls, the Nets went into New Orleans, handled the Pelicans, who did play without the injured Zion Williamson. Final 108-102. Kevin Durant with 33 to lead the way, and got a chance to talk about performing against a solid opponent.
You got to give respect to the Pelicans. They come out and play fast and hard every possession, no matter who's on the floor. They had a lot of guys in and out the lineup, but they get some valuable minutes for their rotation players, and they played great tonight. And but I think tonight we came out, it was a tale of two halves. I think that second half defensively we were on one string. And even though we didn't get our shots to fall early on, and throughout the whole game, we just kept pressing, kept being aggressive. So it was a solid win for us.
That's Kevin Durant with ESPN's Cassidy Hubbard after the ballgame. In the NFL, the owners approving a plan to leave open the possibility of a neutral site AFC championship game, and also could determine home field advantage for a wild card game between the Bengals and Baltimore Ravens with a coin flip. Sites for the potential AFC title game. The neutral sites have yet to be released. All the teams except Cincinnati voted to approve these measures brought on by the cancellation of the Bengals-Bills Monday night game due to the on-field collapse and cardiac arrest of Bills safety Damar Hamlin. Good news from Hamlin's hospital. He's breathing. His breathing tube has been removed. He's breathing on his own, speaking, in fact, with family members. FaceTime the Bills on Friday afternoon.
Hey, it's Greeny, and it is a huge football weekend with all the playoff implications, and we're working our way ahead to the national championship game in college football. We'll be the place to talk about it all Monday. It's Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
The biggest names, the biggest games. They're all right here. This is 1050 ESPN New York.
Good morning, it's Anna Lynn. If the Roosters scored, it's time for Marty and McGee.
I've been down the Mississippi, down through New Orleans.
Good morning. You are listening to Marty and McGee on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and Sirius XM Channel 80. The guys are out in Los Angeles in preparation for Monday's national championship game between TCU and Georgia. So you've got Courtney Cronin and Braden Gall sitting in on this early Saturday morning. We want you to be a part of Marty and McGee Nation on the Dr. Pepper call-in line, 888-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. ESPN Nation is presented by Dr. Pepper. It ain't college football season without the delicious taste of an ice cold Dr. Pepper, the one fans deserve. Good morning, Braden. We have some good news coming out of Buffalo on Friday. Damar Hamlin, the Bills safety, second-year player who suffered cardiac arrest on Monday Night Football. It has been quite a week of emotional turmoil for this team, but some good news on Friday. He had his breathing tube removed, a miraculous recovery for this young man over the course of the last 4 days. He FaceTimed with his team yesterday. It was a brief conversation, but an emotional one, and one that's certainly galvanizing this team. The Bills have the Patriots in Week 18. They host that game tomorrow. And I know that football's kind of been secondary for everybody this week, as we've all been waiting with collected, bated breath for that good news that Damar Hamlin's going to be okay. And at least right now, it appears that way.
Yeah, sort of extraordinary good news on top of good. We've had progressively really good news over the last few days. And good morning to you and to everybody as well. I'd like to think, though, I think I'm McGee in this situation. I think you're Marty. I'm the Tennessee guy. You're the one with the great hair. So I think that's probably the right arrangement here this morning. I'll be Ryan. You can be Marty. It's great. To your point, it's been hard to focus on anything, right? It's just hard to debate things like seeding. It's hard to debate matchups. It's hard to talk football. It's hard to talk X's and O's. It certainly can be an escape for you if you need it. I think that's understandable for all of us, but it's hard to not every few minutes come back to, well, but what's going on? What's going on with this family? What's going on with the team? How are people doing? What is next? And to be able to have him, talk with his teammates, be with his family, like you said, the breathing tube is removed. I think it's allowed all of us and the league, frankly, to begin to start to figure out the next steps, which it looks like we're kind of doing at this point. And honestly, where we were watching Joe and Troy on Monday night do the things that they had to do on that broadcast, which I thought they did extraordinarily well. And I'm not saying that just because we're all here on ESPN, but I think they did an extraordinary job. Scott Van Pelt, Ryan Clark, everybody that night was just, from a broadcast standpoint, was exceptional. And I think the coverage of all of this from everybody has been great to this point. I think the teams have handled it well. I actually think the league has handled it kind of well as after the moment. I think the league has done a pretty good job with this. And I think it's a crazy week to be now sitting here on Saturday morning with games coming up that are so important for so many fans and so many teams, to actually feel the positivity, or at least positivity going in the right direction from this entire story is man, what a wild ride this week has been. And just so grateful that it's going this direction right now. We're not out of the woods, obviously, but man, it feels so different than even just 24, 48 hours ago.
Yeah, from where we were on Monday with such an unprecedented situation that caused the postponement